Are you friggin' kidding me? If you're a Leaf fan and you're not uttering that phrase right now, you clearly have not heard the news. To talk about that and lots more, here are Mark Masters and Kenzie Lalonde at the Bell Center in Montreal as the Leafs and Habs get set to open up the regular season there. Mark, let's get right to the big news. There was so much concern about Joseph Woll. The Leafs are trying to make him the #1 goalie. They said the only worry they have is his injury problems, and he's injured right off the start. He was supposed to start tonight, Mark. What happened?
Yeah, and Gino, we talked to him yesterday, and he said how excited he was to start the season opener, play in this building for the very first time in his career. And then we show up today, and Coach Craig Berube says lower body tightness. Woll's going to stay out of this game for a precaution. He hasn't been ruled out of tomorrow's game in New Jersey yet, but an inauspicious start to say the least for a Leafs team looking to turn the page on last season. What was the story in Game 7 in Boston? Well, Woll was supposed to start but could not go because he had a back injury he sustained on the last play of Game 6. The big knock on this guy has been he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He worked so hard in the summer on body stability, biomechanics. He wanted to be ready for a bigger workload, work on injury prevention, and here we are, Game 1, and he's out, Gino. It's a tough look for him and tough for this team. But I will say this, Anthony Stolarz played very well in the preseason, .964 save percentage, and, the 6'6" guy made a big impact on the team, but still, that's tough to show up here today and see that Woll is going to be unable to start this game.
Kenzie, listen, I bet you Habs fans are pretty excited, just as excited as Leaf fans, by the fact that this storied rivalry has now been rekindled. In the 2 games they face each other in the preseason, 75 total penalty minutes. Patrick Laine got knocked out because of injury. He's gone now for months. 5 fighting majors. Arber Xhekaj, 27 minutes himself. He was fine as well. He's in the lineup tonight. What are you expecting to see?
He is in the lineup. Arber Xhekaj, who racked up 49 penalty minutes in his 5 preseason games. And yes, it was a heated preseason. The Toronto Maple Leafs game in particular was one, but the Ottawa Senators was one as well. You look at the defensive core right now for the Montreal Canadiens. Jayden Struble is dealing with some sort of upper body injury at this time, so he was ineligible to play tonight. And it'll be interesting to follow that tandemship of Jayden Struble and Arber Xhekaj in terms of play time this season. But they're going to go with Arber Xhekaj here tonight. And it's going to be fun to follow here for the Montreal Canadiens that have a young defensive group, not only in their age, but you just look at their experience. Outside of Mike Matheson, David Savard, you've got 5 defenders there that combined for 361 games played. That is less than half of David Savard's games played total in the regular season. So it's a learning back end, and they'll continue to grow on this. But I think one big takeaway here today from the morning skate with the Montreal Canadiens was overhearing assistant coach Stéphane Robidas addressing the team at center ice right towards the end. And he said, why not now? Why not us? So on any given night, the Montreal Canadiens are going to have this mindset of we're going to cause havoc, we're going to be aggressive, and we want to come out with wins.
Well, if there's havoc tonight, I think Ryan Reeves might be involved. Reeves fought Arber Xhekaj on opening night last year. He wasn't happy with how Xhekaj, in his words, jumped him in that game, and he said he would welcome a rematch. We haven't seen that rematch yet. We know that under Craig Berube, the Leafs want to be more physical. They want to be more of a grind team. It could get emotional. It could get a little crazy here tonight. I wouldn't be surprised, if we see Reeves Xhekaj too.
Yeah, I think all Leaf and Hab fans are looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Now, Mark, Kenzie mentioned the new motto by the Habs this year. I bet you we start to see it on T-shirts and banners. Why not now? Why not us? I'm kind of curious. Do the Leafs have a motto? I'm thinking maybe, Mark, and I'm just throwing this out there. Why just the regular season? Why not the playoffs? Is that going to be their motto this year, Mark?
Actually, I think their motto, based on what they got up in their training room in the practice facility, is no grit, no grind, no greatness. That seems to be the motto. But yeah, obviously, in order to truly show they've changed, you got to do it in the playoffs. But I will say this. A couple of years ago, we were in Montreal for the season opener, and the Leafs allowed a late goal and lost in regulation, and Sheldon Keefe called them out afterwards. Last year, these two teams faced off in Toronto in the season opener. The Leafs did not play particularly well. Austin Matthews scored 2 extra attacker goals to complete a hat trick. The Leafs salvaged a win in a shootout. It wasn't a great performance. So that's the last couple of years these two teams have faced off. The Leafs have not played really that well. I'm curious to see if they'll be locked in to start this season, if they'll make a statement here under the new coach that maybe the core is growing a bit and they're going to, set things out right to start and say, we're taking this regular season very seriously. Maybe we want to win the Atlantic Division for the first time. So, Gino, I think this was actually an important game. We're not at the playoffs yet, but I think they can make a statement here tonight.
The lights just went on behind the two of you there. Opening night's awesome at the best of times. The Habs really know how to showcase things and come out of the gate fast, at least with their pregame ceremonies. Kenzie, there's a lot of young kids on this Montreal Canadiens roster, not the least of which is Lane Hudson, a kid who's got to be super. He's played a couple of games for the Habs last year, but this is opening night. This is special.
This is it. These are the moments you dream of. And, you know, speaking with him this morning at the morning skate, he's just 20 years old. And when asked by reporters, you know, when you hear your name by Michel Lacroix, what will that experience be like for you? And he's like, honestly, I'm just excited. I've never been a part of an experience like that before. And as you mentioned, Gino, the Montreal Canadiens go above and beyond for these intro segments. It'll be a moment for him to remember. His parents will be here and his youngest brother, Lars, as well. And Mark, we had a chance to see Lane Hudson at the juniors with the United States, to see that creativity to his game. And that was kind of the question for him through training camp. He was likely to make this team, but you never know. You have to have a strong camp, as we've learned with the Joshua Waugh, Alex Bure-Boulet change up here for this roster for the Canadiens. But that was a big conversation. Is his defensive game strong enough for the NHL level? And the Montreal Canadiens believe that it is. And I think it's important that he's paired up alongside someone like David Savard, a steady defender. And to not only that, give him that extra edge, give him some time on the power play where that is what he does best. He's so creative with the puck. He makes room when there is no room, so he'll be able to shine tonight, and the Canadiens are setting him up for success. And what will likely be a game he'll never forget.
You're keeping an eye on a 20-year-old defenseman. I'm keeping an eye on a 34-year-old defenseman, Chris Tanev. This was the big signing in the summer. This was the off-season addition that was the big one for the Leafs, and he's kind of flown, as is kind of his way, under the radar. You know, he's just gone about his business. But Morgan Riley was talking to us this morning, and he said this guy has delivered as advertised, and then some. He's a warrior. He should be the perfect complement to Riley on that top pair. He should help the penalty kill that was so bad last season. So I'm curious, in this first meaningful game with Chris Tanev, what sort of impact he makes on that top pairing and just on the team in general, Gino. I'll be keeping an eye on a 34-year-old defenseman tonight.
And just to build off of that, Mark, as well, you're talking about bringing in a role player. Well, the Canadiens did for the first time go shopping in this rebuild to bring in Patrick Laine, and he's not going to be in the lineup because of injury. So we'll get a look at Yoel Armia on the right side, playing with Alex Newhook, playing with Kirby Dach. So that'll be a key piece here for the Canadiens. I'll keep my eye on as well.
It's a lot of fun. It is the opening of the regular season for the Habs and the Leafs. They're going head-to-head in this storied rivalry tonight at the Bell Center. Kenzie Lalonde, Mark Masters. Enjoy, guys.